Is zone focusing actually faster than autofocus, or is it just a fast way to get blurry photos? Well, to find out, I shot over 1,000 photographs with the OM Systems OM3 in the most challenging low-light scenario imaginable. For 2 nights in a row, I prowled the infamous Dirty 6th Street of Austin, Texas. Night 1, zone focus only. Night 2, I switched to autofocus. Then, to compare the two, I zoomed in on every single photo to count exactly how many were out of focus. Then, at the end of the video, I compare the success rates of both nights. So, stay tuned for some debauchery, some violence, and we'll finally see if zone focusing is just a thing of the past. We got the OM Systems OM3, and like always, the AD200 big boy flash, baby. It still fires with the Nikon trigger. It works. Okay, night 1, we are zone focusing with the OM Systems OM3, which I have a full-length video on, so go watch that next. But if you don't know what zone focusing is, here's a crash course. Also called scale focusing or range focusing, these clickbaity thumbnails claim it's faster than autofocus. So what's all the hype? Well, it's basically just manual focusing, but instead of trying to twist your lens to focus each and every shot, you just pre-focus your lens to a specific distance and leave it there. Then you just wait for your subject to be that close to you before you take the shot. You're effectively guessing the distance from your camera to your subject. But since you're not waiting for the camera to autofocus, you should be able to react instantly and miss less shots. That's why everyone says it's faster than autofocus, and it is, at least in theory. Stick around to see how well this 2025 camera autofocuses in these low light conditions. But since zone focus means I'm just guessing, how am I getting all these shots in focus? Am I just a really good distance estimator? No, I just stack the odds in my favor. You see, if there's ever a good setup to zone focus with, this is it, because it's got a small camera sensor and a wide lens, both of which make it easier to guess my way into a sharp photo. First of all, the OM Systems OM3 has a micro four thirds sensor, which is the smallest sensor size for prosumer cameras like this. And the smaller the camera sensor, the more of your image will be in focus. It's like the opposite effect of the cinematic medium format look everyone chases after. You know, razor thin depth of field, lots of bokeh, super blurry background. That's easier to achieve with a bigger sensor and a longer lens. But I don't want blur. I want my photos to be in focus, so I'm using a tiny sensor and a wide lens. I've paired the OM System OM3 with this wide-angle 12mm f2 lens, and it's perfect for zone focusing, cause just like the small sensor, wide lenses also equal less blur. Plus, this nifty little 12mm has a manual focus switch built into the focus throw, and it's got these nice focus distance scale markings on there, so I know exactly what distance my lens is set to. By the way, I usually leave it set to around 5 feet. You know, unless I see something I want to get closer to. Anyway, with the wider lens and the smaller sensor, I end up with a very big margin of error for guessing my way into sharp photos. Meaning, as long as I stop down my lens to around f8 and then just try to guess and take the shot when I think the subject is 5 feet from me, with that huge margin of error, even if the subject is actually 3 feet or 10 feet away from me, they'll still be in focus. But to get that wide margin of error, you have to stop down your lens. So, to shoot at f8 all night without cranking up the ISO, we obviously need a flash. Sarah's using her little Lightpix Lab Q20 flash with her Sony a7 III and her 24mm lens, which gives her about the same field of view as I'm getting from the 12mm. But my flash is a lot bigger. This is the Godox AD200 paired with the EC200 extension head. That way I can leave the big heavy brick in my back pouch and just hold up this lightweight, retina-scorching beauty dish. And sometimes, after I get a few drinks in me, I like to just balance it on my head so I can use both hands. It always gets a good reaction. Anyway, you're already watching the POV footage, and you've seen plenty of photos so far, so obviously this zone focusing thing is working. But we're just getting started, and already some of the images are far from tack sharp. So stick around for halftime, where I'll talk about my camera settings, pixel peep a couple of shots to see if any of them are tack sharp, and then we'll turn on autofocus for night 2. And don't skip ahead, cause remember,
there's violence. Nah, just kidding, do what you want, here's the timestamps. But before you click away, I gotta thank you, cause I couldn't do this without you, internet. I have 0 sponsors. This is an independent operation, and as much as I'd like to actually make a living off of my creative work, at the same time, I don't want to be a shill for camera brands just to pay my mom rent. That's right, I live in my mom's den. Anyway, I can't stand camera influencers. It seems like every single one of them is ready to sell their soul for a free camera and a Squarespace sponsorship. Then we, the consumers, are left with nobody to trust, doom scrolling through an endless barrage of talking heads simping for every new photo doohickey to hit the market. And disclaimer, OM Systems sent me this camera, but they didn't pay me. They didn't even let me keep it, because I was a little too honest. I called it a gimmicky toy camera, even if it is the best camera I've ever shot. But whatever, I wouldn't be able to keep making these videos without your support. So if you like my in-depth, honest, independent photography content, and you want to help me to keep it independent and honest, please consider joining Low Press the Army at madebylowpro.com. For as little as $1 per month, you get free presets, custom shoutouts, exclusive merch discounts. You can text or email me anytime and I'll actually respond. And I do monthly photo critique live streams. Members can submit unlimited photos. So big thank you to all the contributing members of Low Press the Army who donate at madebylowpro.com. Thank you, Spencer. Thank you, Juan. Thank you, Brock. Thank you, Jesse. Thank you, Hill. Thank you, Nop. Thank you, Tony. Thank you, Slavic Boy. Thank you, Gabriel. Thank you, Litos. Thank you, Nanu. Thank you, M. Thank you, Anjay. Thank you, Chris. Thank you, Joel. Thank you, Government Psyop. Thank you, Larry. Thank you, Mortison. Thank you, Floppy Doppy. Thank you, Dankway. Thank you, Ziggy. Thank you, Jonas. Thank you, Subpar. Thank you, Clint. Thank you, Nick. Thank you, Brian. Thank you, Jack. Thank you, Kurt. Thank you, Reader. Thank you, Rhett. Thank you, Zach. Thank you, James. Thank you, Sam. Thank you, JT. Thank you, Pat. And thank you, Jacob. Let's make analog fun again. Join Low Press the Army at madebylowpro.com. By the way, in case you're wondering, I edited most of these shots with my new Lightroom preset. This is my based low-key preset, and I kind of use it like a starting point, or a baseline. That's why it's based. It applies some exposure correction, a custom tone curve, and my patented color calibration that really helps boost the color contrast. This preset works good on these low-key frames with dark-ass backgrounds and histograms that look kinda shadow-heavy. Just turn on the preset and dang, that's already pretty good. Then I usually just tweak the highlights and the whites a bit and bing bong, baby. So come on down and grab this based preset for $2 at madebylowpro.com. Or join Low Press the Army for as little as $1 a month to get the based preset and the Low Pro Filmic preset pack for free, and maybe other future presets. I don't know how long I can just keep giving these away. Anyway, like I told you, I shot over 1,000 photos over these 2 nights in Austin, Texas. But don't worry, I'm not forcing you to look at all my missed shots. Though to make this a valid real-life comparison between zone focusing and autofocus, I did leave in a bunch of mid to crap shots so we can get a good sample size for each. All in, this video has 485 photos from the OM3 and 90 photos from Sarah, who's kind of like the control for this experiment. I don't know, I'm not a scientist. So out of those 485 photos that made the video, there's 189 on this night and 296 for the second night. And you know what? It took me forever to sync up all those photos to the nearly 4 hours of GoPro footage I brought home. So you better watch the whole dang thing. You better watch the whole dang thing. You better watch. I'm just kidding. Do whatever you want. Okay, and some of you may be thinking, suspicious. He's not even including half of his claimed 1,000 photos. What's he hiding? I bet he's cherry-picking these photos to clickbait us into watching this garbage video. But nuh-uh. I didn't just cut the bad shots, I actually cut a bunch of good photos, cause I didn't have the action camera running the whole time. So bing, bong, boom, this one's good, this one's good, this one's good. Now we're over 485, I lost count, whatever, back to the POV street photography. Okay, well I'm gonna leave you to vibe out to the rest of this first night soon, but I got a few more tidbits for you. The astute amongst you might have noticed that at certain times, it looks like I have the screen off, and I'm obviously not looking through the viewfinder because the camera's out here in front of the action camera instead of, you know, up to my eye where the GoPro can't see it. I'm basically no-scoping most of these shots, which sounds impressive, but when you're shooting this wide with this many people milling about, it's really like shooting fish in a barrel. But I do like the weird, unpredictable angles you get when shooting from the hip. Sure, it may not look as refined or intentional as carefully composed images, but who cares? Shoot more, think less, have fun. That's what I'm out here doing. It's not like any of these shots are ever gonna be hung up in the Louvre. These are for me. I shoot photos for me, not for Instagram, not for art. I'm just out here enjoying the thrill of the hunt, looking for novel moments, unique angles on human interaction that I'm honestly starved for. If you don't know, Sarah and I live out in bumfuck nowhere, Texas, with zero street life. So any chance we get to go to the big city of Austin, Texas, and we out here going hard. And sure, some of y'all probably hate this flash photography stuff, and I don't blame ya. It does kind of end up being a one-trick pony thing. Don't get me wrong, I am very proud of how far I've come. I used to be deathly afraid of photographing strangers up close. Back in 2019, I was out here creeping on people with my 70-200 zoom lens. Then, eventually, I got brave enough to use a 50mm. Then, I started going wide, which forced me even closer. Then, after watching everything I could on Bruce Gilden and binging a bunch of Real Sir Robin videos, I decided to start flashing people. So here I am, getting close and popping strobes. But after doing it hundreds and thousands of times, it can kind of feel like I'm going through the motions. At least with this scene. You see, 6th Street is still a treat for a couple of country bumpkin street shooter wannabes like me and Sarah, but I'm almost 40 years old. And here I am surrounded by a bunch of drunk kids that can barely stand up straight. Sure, we were all young and dumb once, but the more I come out here with my same old bag of tricks, the more I feel like it's time for something new. Yes, I can get close. Yes, I can flash some weirdos, but it can start to feel a little bit like a human zoo. So to combat that, I'm trying to do something new. You may have noticed I've been sprinkling in a few detail shots here and there. People's feet, people's hands. I'm trying to train myself to see again. And after this latest tour of Dirty Six, I kinda wanna go back to shooting a 50mm. I wanna force myself to stop shooting the same old way I've been shooting. I still love all these quick reaction hip shots and wacky wide angle frames, but if I start forcing myself to look a little further out, I think I may be able to nab some more authentic, candid moments before I barge in on the scene with my wide-ass lens. But this is a video about technique, so whatever. Hit that like button, hype this video if you're on mobile, and leave a comment with a timestamp if you see a photo you like. You might just win something, cause guess what? It's about time for that violence I promised you. Now before I interrupt the action with my photographs, I'll just let you watch it uninterrupted. Watch this guy. Boom! Pushes a girl to the ground, and another one. Then his homie holds him back and some dingus tries to play tough guy. Luckily, there's tons of cops on 6th Street to keep things from getting out of hand. Anyway, let's rewind to see if we got any good photos here. So right off the bat, I'm popping off a ton of strobes, which is a big reason why I use my giant studio flash in the streets. If this were a normal speed light or some compact thing like Sarah's got, there's no way I'd be able to shoot off so many frames so quickly. But maybe that's a double-edged sword, cause I don't know. For such a dramatic event, I'm not really digging any of these frames too much. If I had a slower flash with a longer recycle time, I'd have to be more selective and maybe I'd have that decisive moment. Nah, just kidding. I like this one. It's like the 4th shot I took and it shows everybody's face, plus you got the cop ready to break things up. I like all the shutter drag from whipping the camera around because it adds a sense of frenzied movement. The only thing I don't like is I just kind of wish I was a bit closer to the action. I mean, the fight's only taking up about a quarter of the frame, but I do like this little extra scene over here on the right. Anyway, that's all the violence for the night, unless you consider non-consensual flash photography to be violence. In that case, then I'm like a war criminal or something. So after the fight, it's past 1 in the morning and I'm getting pretty snap happy, cause like I always say, shoot more, think less. You can even buy the t-shirt. And even if I'm getting all mopey thinking I've outgrown 6th Street, wide-angle flash work, I barely get to shoot street, so I'm still having fun. And that's what it's all about. So many photographers, especially the professional artsy types, take this too seriously. And that's fine. I mean, I want to be good too, but if you ain't having fun, why even bother? This is the most niche hobby / art form ever. Most of the population has no idea who Bruce Gilden is. They've never heard of Cartier, or Kudelka, or Parr. So if you're trying to be some big important creative type, you picked the wrong fucking field. Fame ain't found on this side of the camera. You really want to be famous? Sell the Leica and start simping for Israel, our greatest ally. So it's not for fame, and it sure as hell ain't for fortune. You heard Gilden went broke, right? This is a specialized hobby for a bunch of super nerds. Might as well have fun with it. Enjoy yourself. Relax. Don't think so hard, just take a lot of photos. You can't think your way into a good street photo, but you can put your reps in. have some fun while you're doing it, and try to be present when opportunity comes knocking. Anyway, this video is about zone focusing, so let's go back to talking about that, okay? So if you forgot, I've been manual focusing and guessing distance all night, and it seems to be working, right? I mean, I know it's hard to tell with so many photos flashing up on screen for just a second or two, but I'm happy as a clam. I mean, people zone focus for a reason. It's not just because they don't trust computers. Anyway, at this point, night 1 is almost done. So stay tuned for the halftime show. We'll peep some good shots, some bad shots, and see exactly how many of these are really tack sharp. Then I'll talk a bit about my other camera settings, and then it's finally time for autofocus. Then we'll know if we can really trust these newfangled digital cameras to focus for you in these fast-paced, low-light run-and-gun street shooter scenarios. Okay, enjoy the rest of night 1, or skip ahead to halftime. See you in a sec.
We're back, we can't stay away.
Okie dokie, that's it. I showed you 189 zone-focused wide-angle flash shots from night 1. Well, plus 37 from Sarah, who also did wide-angle flash. I'm so proud of her. Anyway, out of the total 274 photos I took on 6th Street that night, how many of them were really tack sharp? Well, after pixel peeping each and every one of them, I could only find 32 that were out of focus. Now, some of them are blurrier than others, like this one, or this one. I missed by a mile, while this one, or this one, looks sharp enough. But when you punch in, you don't see nearly as much detail as, say, this one, where you can make out every single pore and every single hair on this dude's face. Here's another blurry one, and yeah, not nearly as much detail. But even with the blur, a couple of these out of focus shots are still my favorite ones of the night, like this one. Or this one. I mean, come on, no one would notice if I put that on Instagram. Okay, what camera settings did I use? I'm looking at the metadata, and apparently I shot everything at f8, ISO 400, and 1/15 shutter speed. Okay, it's time for night 2, autofocus in Austin, Texas.
Okay, another night, same camera, and hopefully it pays off. So we'll see. You let me know at the end of this, in whatever this ends up being. Okay, bye.
Okay, it's time to put our trust in the machine. Now, I was pretty skeptical at first. You see, my main camera is a Nikon D7000, which has slow autofocus in broad daylight. So I always zone focus with that old camera. But that camera came out in 2010, while the OM3 came out in 2025. So let's see just how far camera tech has come in 15 years. Did you see that? I didn't even have the screen on. I was shooting blind, and this camera still pulled focus right away. So is that it? Does zone focusing really suck? Well, we're just getting started. Between me and Sarah, we got over 300 photos coming up in this second night of autofocus POV street photography mayhem. But that's not everything. I captured plenty of shots off camera too, like this banger, or this one. and this whole scene of bicycle hooligans. So, including all the photos I have no footage of, I took 734 autofocus shots this night. And I already went through all of them to count just how many were out of focus. So stay to the end for the final results, where I compare the hit rates of the 2 nights and answer once and for all if zone focusing is really a thing of the past. Now remember, I'm editing most of these images with my new $2 based low-key preset, so head over to madebylowpro.com to pick that up or join Low Press the Army for as little as $1 a month to get all 3 Low Pro presets for free. That includes the new based preset plus my last 2 filmic presets. And I mean, if you really want a deal, you can just sign up for a $1 monthly donation, get all the presets, then just cancel your next donation. But come on, that's not very nice. Something cool's coming up soon. Look at this puppy! Okay, I definitely do not condone the painting of dogs or animals, except for maybe those zebra donkeys in Mexico. They got a whole economy on it. Anyway, it's not every day you see a Pikachu dog, so sorry if I didn't dump a bucket of pig's blood on them like y'all bleeding heart PETA people would have done. PETA sucks, by the way. Look it up.
Okay, hopefully I got one good one out of all those.
And yeah, this is not what it looks like, officer. Sarah and I are workshopping our own line of dog treats. Hit me up in the DMs or email or on my contact page at madebylowpro.com if you know anything about starting a pet food business, or if you just want to be a beta tester or something. See, this guy ate some. It's also safe for human consumption. Allegedly. I don't know how FDA regulations work, but between you and me, it is. So don't worry about it. And that wasn't the last puppy. Check out this doggo. What a beautiful puppy duppy. Seeing this well-behaved dog like this really makes me miss my Walker boy, but he's a maniac. There's no way he would play nice on the streets of Austin, Texas. Anyway, right off the bat, this high-tech OM Systems OM3 seems to be doing great. And it looks like I'm using the same camera settings as last night. ISO 400, f8, and 1/15 shutter speed. But now I got it set to continuous autofocus with subject detection set to human faces. And honestly, at this point, it kind of feels like I turned on God mode. I can't miss. Watch out, Brisson, I'm gonna slam dunk a million decisive moments. Just kidding, I know these ain't nothing more than some silly street snaps. I mean, they're nice and all, but I don't think anyone would want to hang any of these on their wall. Though, to be fair, I think that's the case for most of this kind of street photography. None of this wide-angle close-up flash stuff is super commercial or aesthetic. If you really want to sell street work, you gotta get all introspective and shoot thoughtful, contrasty city shadowscapes like Sean Tucker, or some flat pastel primary colors like Josh Edgoose, or cats and birds like Alan Schaller. Anyway, there's still plenty of footage for this last night, so let me dive into a few tips. Here's Nick's 5 tips for street photography. Number 1, get close. As Robert Capa says, if your photos ain't good enough, you're not close enough. So that's why I'm doing this. And even if you decide that shooting close isn't for you, it still helps with confidence. So if you're a total newbie, I definitely recommend shooting a wide-angle lens and trying to get as close as possible. Plus, done right, it gives you an obvious subject in the center of your frame, or off to the side. Who cares how you frame it up? But it also gives the viewer a sense of presence. Whatever you do, I don't recommend sticking to a telephoto or a zoom. Get yourself a prime lens and preferably something wider to start off. Tip number 2, shoot more. It's the opposite of what people who shoot film talk about. They say, shooting film, you slow down, you get more selective, more decisive with every single moment, but the decisive moment. Great photographers make shitty photos, and they say your first 10,000 photos are your worst. So that would take forever on film. Shoot a lot of digital photos and get it out of the way. Shooting more doesn't mean continuous burst mode and taking a bunch of duplicates of the same frame, but sometimes I do walk away from a scene too early. I take one shot and leave when the scene progresses and gets better after the first shot, so don't give up so quick. Tip number 3, think less. Trust your gut. Before your logical mind can rationalize if or why you should take any picture, your primordial lizard brain is already going, ooh, picture. So listen to your intuition and take the dang picture, even if it's crap. Chances are, if that primal instinct inside of you activated and wanted you to take that picture, it'll have something intangible for the viewer too. The moment I find myself thinking, should I take this photograph? I already missed it. And thinking less also means stop fiddling with your camera settings. That's when you miss shots. Just set it to auto mode, to program, to aperture priority, whatever can think for you and take some work off your plate so all you gotta worry about is framing up a shot and shooting. Tip number 4, stop hiding. When you act sneaky and try to be invisible, it's super suspicious and people are liable to react in a less than positive manner. I'm not saying you gotta ask permission, but you don't have to be a creep either. Just be a human. Make eye contact, smile and nod. It's all body language and how you hold yourself. If you're acting super sketchy, people are gonna think you're super sketchy. And honestly, I'm a bit of a hypocrite with this. I've taken tons of sneaky shots with pocketable point and shoot type cameras, but out here in the streets is not a time to do that. When you're in public, you have every right to take a photo, so act like it. My final tip, number 5, be present. Listen, look, anticipate, and react. That may sound like a lot of thinking, but nah. I'm saying tap into your surroundings. Tune out your ego and just observe what's happening all around you. Let that direct your every step. Don't let that voice in your head try and think its way into a good photo. We've all been there where you're thinking, I want a photo like this, I want a photo like that, but no! Forget about the imaginary perfect pictures you want to make and just pay attention to the life being lived all around you. There's beauty in every moment. You just gotta be open to it. Anyway, I hope that helps anyone who's a newbie with street photography. Just get out there and shoot more, man. Get close, shoot more. Think less, stop hiding, and be present. Anyway, where are we at? Oh yeah, autofocus. So I sure hope you ain't epileptic, cause I sure am flashing some strobes at light speed out here. It is past midnight at this point, and we've been shooting for 3 hours. My feet are killing me. My legs are jello, but I must continue. This is the first time I've ever used autofocus for street photography, and it's super freeing. Throughout the night, I kept reviewing my photos just to make sure my eyes weren't deceiving me, but most of the shots were looking pretty dang sharp. Again, be sure to stick around for the end and I'll tell you exactly how many were in focus compared to the first night. And you know what? After putting this video together, reviewing all of these freaking photos to get them on screen for you, I kinda wish I wasn't so harsh on this camera in my review, because I'm liking a lot of these shots, and if I was a bit nicer, maybe OM Systems would have let me keep it. But then again, it is just a tool, and I know limitations can breed innovations. If it weren't for my lack of money and my super limited 16-year-old Nikon D7000, I may have never taught myself to zone focus in these streets. And as amazing as it is to not have to zone focus, there's still that part of me that hates giving away control to a machine. If I get a blurry shot when I'm autofocusing, I can just blame the camera. But when you zone focus, you got no one else to blame but you. And when you can't pass the buck, there ain't nothing else to do but get better. Zone focusing is like sprinting with ankle weights on, while using autofocus is like shooting with training wheels. So no matter what the results are, I definitely think you should give zone focusing a try.
What's going on there, dude? You foaming?
It's not just for idiot hipsters that blew all of their trust fund money on a $10,000 manual focus only camera like a Leica M11. Leica. It's also for broke-based photo boys like us that can't afford a modern camera. But if you already knew all this stuff and you're some seasoned zone-focused street shooting badass that saved up enough money for some newfangled photo toy, and you're wondering just how good these computer cameras are at focusing for you, well, stay tuned, because this night's just about wrapped up, and like I keep promising you, at the end of the video, I'm gonna break it down and tell you the exact percentages of in-focus versus blurry photos from both nights. Remember, for night 1, I shot a total of 274 photos and came home with 32 shots that were at least a little bit out of focus. That's 88% in focus. So if you're rooting for autofocus, that's the score we gotta beat with this second round of photos. Okay, well it's already well past 2 a.m. at this point, so I know it's gonna be quitting time soon, but nonetheless, we're still out here making the most of our final moments of street photo mayhem before we head back home and turn back into country bumpkin pumpkins. So enjoy these last few photos from night 2. Then it's finally time to compare the results of zone focusing to autofocusing. Let's see who wins. Okay, that concludes our 2 nights in Austin, Texas. Here's our little walker puppy Poopy Boy waiting for us at the Airbnb at 3 in the morning. What a good puppy. Anyway, how'd we do? What's better, zone focusing or autofocusing? Okay, let's recap. Night 1, zone focus. Out of 274 total shots, I came back with 32 that were at least a little bit out of focus. That's a hit rate of 88%. Now, keep in mind, I'm not saying I got 88% bangers. Heck, I didn't even get 88% good or mid photos. For both nights, I'm not counting any other types of mistakes for the blurry rate. And believe me, there were plenty of other mistakes. Okay, 88% success rate for night 1. Now for night 2, out of the 734 photos, I was only able to find 30 that were a little out of focus. That's a 95.9% success rate. So does that mean you need to get the OM Systems OM3? No. And I explain why in this video. Plus, zone focusing is still a super viable way to capture quick reaction street photos. So don't let all this fancy high-tech autofocus camera doodads stuff give you too much gas. Just get yourself an old clunker, set your focusing distance, and try to remember to shoot more and think less. Thank you, Internet. I'm Nick. Okay, well, this was a different kind of video, right, guys? Big thank you again to Lopresti Army. I couldn't do this without you. Even if you haven't joined and you're nice to me, I appreciate that too. Baby! She's not in the room right now. We'll see if I can annoy her. Anything to add? She should see her. She's so mad.
I love you so much.
Well, you gotta yell it.
I love you so much!
She's lying. She's mad at me. Anyway, if you're still here, say get in the zone, auto zone. Appreciate you. Let me know what you like, autofocus or zone focus. There's the puppy. He's been there the whole time. He's a good boy. I appreciate you guys. Let me know what you think of the new camera angle. It's a lot easier to set up than the other one, but I kind of like the old camera angle. Let me know. Let's make analog fun again. See ya.